Just moments ago, the scene in Philadelphia as former President Trump's plane arrived for tonight's high-stakes debate against Vice President Harris. It's a critical showdown with polls showing the race is a dead heat. Peter Alexander has late details for us.
Tonight, our first look inside the debate hall, just hours before the historic face-off between Vice President Harris and former President Trump here in Philadelphia. A crucial night for both candidates in front of what's likely their largest audience ahead of the election. For Harris, a chance to showcase what her campaign calls one of her greatest strengths, her experience as a prosecutor who can take on Trump.
I know Donald Trump's type. In fact, I've been dealing with people like him my entire career.
Sources tell NBC News she's been holding mock debate sessions looking for ways to get under Trump's skin to provoke an outburst.
There's no floor for him in terms of how low he will go. And we should be prepared for that. We should be prepared for the fact that he is not burdened by telling the truth.
And a new poll shows the importance of this moment for Harris. While more than 70% of likely voters say they know enough about the VP, nearly 30% say they need to know more information about her.
I spoke to the vice president. She seems calm, cool, and collected.
For former President Trump, tonight's a key opportunity to press Harris, who's rarely appeared in unscripted settings since becoming the nominee. Sources tell NBC News after a series of loose prep sessions, he did more intense preparation over the last 3 days. Expect him to target a record on issues where polls show Americans trust him more, including the economy.
We delivered an economic miracle, which Kamala and Joe turned into an economic disaster.
And to challenge changes in her positions, including on immigration.
Flip-flopping. She's the greatest flip-flopper. I mean, now she's saying, oh, we want to build a strong border. Where has she been for 3.5 years?
And Peter, so much to watch for tonight, but we already know how some things will play out.
Yeah, Lester, that's right. We're here in the spin room. Donald Trump already won the coin toss. He has chosen to deliver the last closing argument tonight. As you know, the mics are going to be muted for a candidate when it's not their turn to speak. And we'll be watching if there was a handshake between Trump and Harris tonight, just to underscore the stakes here. 30% of registered voters in a new poll say that they will make a decision off of this event. Back to you.
All right, Peter, thank you. And Garrett Haake is also in Philadelphia. Garrett, you spoke with the former president today.
That's right, Lester. Former President Trump seemed eager to get onto the debate stage tonight. He told me the hardest part of preparing to debate Vice President Harris has been adjusting to her recent changes in policy positions. But he argues that those changes will make her not believable to voters. Now, the strategy for the Trump campaign tonight, sources tell me, is to highlight what they view as Harris's most liberal stances over the course of her career and argue that those are her true beliefs, regardless of wherever she says she stands now. Sources close to Trump tell me he's grown more focused as the debate's gotten closer, and polls have tightened in his favor. They believe the vice president's honeymoon is all but over, and they can end it tonight with a strong performance. Lester.
All right, Garrett Haake, thank you. One of the likely topics in tonight's debate, immigration. And there is a new flashpoint in Ohio town with a rising number of Haitian immigrants, and unfounded rumors there are now flaming tensions. Here's Gabe Gutierrez.
Tonight, Springfield, Ohio finds itself at the center of a raging immigration debate. With violence escalating in Haiti over the past few years, Ohio's governor says around 15,000 Haitian immigrants have settled in Springfield, filling jobs and boosting the economy, but also straining local resources, sparking outrage from some residents.
I'm angry that foreigners are using up the resources that were set up for the Americans that reside here.
Those tensions first flared in Springfield last year when a Haitian driver without a valid license crashed into a school bus, killing an 11-year-old boy. Then, this week, former President Trump's running mate, Ohio Senator J.D. Vance, amplified an unfounded claim on social media. Writing reports now show that people have had their pets abducted and eaten by people who shouldn't be in this country. Springfield's mayor said late today the story about pets being killed originated in another town entirely, involving a woman who was arrested for animal cruelty.
We have not been able to verify any credible reports or specific claims of pets being harmed, injured, or abused by individuals within the immigrant community.
Also today, Vance acknowledged it's possible, of course, that all of these rumors will turn out to be false, while the White House called it BS, disinformation, and dangerous.
We've got now elected officials in the Republican Party pushing, yet another conspiracy theory that's just seeking to divide people based on lies. And let's be honest, based on an element of racism.
Ohio Governor Mike DeWine now says that the state is sending more resources to help Springfield officials deal with the migrant influx, while calling on the federal government to do more. Lester?
All right, Gabe, thank you. You can watch the debate and our complete coverage, including Peter, Garrett, Kristen Welker, and Hallie Jackson, starting at 8 p.m. tonight here on NBC. Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.